So I was sent this post. This is on Ask Aubrey on Twitter, but she reposted this Am I the A-hole thread. And I think that it's important to have this conversation because this whole boy mom situation with these adult men becomes a real challenge to overcome if you're in a relationship with one of these men. So this woman says, Am I the a-hole for faking my giving birth? She says, I'll keep this as short as possible. Both she and her husband are 25. She says, I am pregnant with the baby due in a couple of days. My husband, 25, promised that he would be the one to drive me to the hospital and that he would be glued to the phone until birth. He works only 10 minutes from our home, and his boss agreed to let him go when the birth happens. The problem is my mother-in-law. My husband and her have an unhealthy, strong bond, and she is overly involved in our relationship, which has caused many issues in the past. She requires his attention every day. She has suggested moving in with us ever since I became pregnant. She also has emergencies whenever we have anniversaries, important occasions like my birthday. As the date is approaching, I became increasingly worried that his mother will have an emergency during birth and I will have trouble getting to the hospital or will be forced to be alone during. I voiced my concerns and it caused fights between me and them. I even suggested asking my best friend to drive me and keep me company as I'm scared of giving birth, but it was shot down with, how can't you trust your own husband? She continues with, so I'm not proud of it, but I faked giving birth yesterday. I called my hubby at work, told him it started. He said he will be right there. After half an hour, I called him to ask where he was. He didn't answer. After almost an hour, he called me to say he was at the hospital with his mom because guess what? She's having a medical emergency. Apparently, he called her to tell her I'm giving birth and she got a heart attack from excitement. He said he will have to miss my birth and actually asked me to call my friend to drive me and stay with me. I admit, I was very angry and heartbroken, so I told him I wasn't actually giving birth and that it was a test that showed me how he would actually behave versus what he said he would do. It proved that he would always care for his mother more than for his own wife who was carrying his child. He was very angry and even blamed me for his mother's heart attack in that moment. His mother, of course, didn't have a heart attack, but a false alarm. I felt very justified, but now that we talked, I feel guilty. He said he feels manipulated and gaslighted, that just because his mother lied about the emergency doesn't mean I should lie to him. He said that marriage is built on trust, so I have to trust him instead of lying to him to prove a point. He even said that he didn't choose his mother over me, but he chose a bigger emergency and that he knew I could handle getting to the hospital, but his mother needed him more and that a heart attack is more serious. I pointed out that she lied, but he said he couldn't have known that and I was just as bad as her for lying. That right there, y'all, is Darvo. He straight flipped it on her. He is using a manipulation tactic. We've talked about Darvo before on my pages. Darvo is an acronym for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. So he straight took what he did. He denied not being there for her. He denied it. And then he reversed it. He made himself the victim because he said that you lied to me. He changed things around. Even though he said he was going to be there for this birth, he is changing things up. He's muddying the water. He has this woman thinking that she did something wrong. This is called Darvo, and this is the perfect example. It is a reaction that perpetrators of wrongdoing, such as sexual offenders, and it could be any offender, may display in response to being held accountable for their behavior. He is being held accountable for his behavior. He wasn't there for his wife, and now he is flipping the script on her, and now she is thinking that she did something wrong. Okay, now back to the post. She said, edit, just because I don't want to be misunderstood. I did what I did because I am terrified to give birth alone. My friend would have to ask for the day off in advance so she'd know that she is needed before I actually get contractions. My mom died in childbirth, and I don't want to be alone during the scariest moment of my life. Even if I am the a-hole, I think this gave me the push I needed to get my ducks in a row. And my friend already asked for a couple of days off to be there when I need it. I'm just so scared. At that point, she kind of hid the lead. She hid the reason why. She should have put that in the early part of the post, that her mom died in childbirth and that this is the reason why she really wanted her husband to be there. Okay, edit number 2. To answer a common question, why did you marry him? Wasn't he putting his mom first from the beginning? I suppose this is a fair question, but it was never that bad. Well, now it is so. But when we first started, it was lovely. His mother was barely a footnote in our relationship because we were at uni and far away. I suppose my greatest mistake was agreeing to move into his town versus moving to mine. I come from a town on the opposite side of the country. Our uni was in the middle, so to speak, and his mom, while nosy and controlling, was far away and very easy to write off. When we got married, we moved into his town for logistics reasons. He already had a job lined up in his town. I didn't. We have been living together for 1.5 years, and it has gotten progressively worse until now. When he isn't in contact with her, he is a good partner. But when you add her into the equation, he becomes a different person. Even his friends see it and ask me about it. Right now, I want to focus on my baby, but after birth, I will have to rethink our life together. I just can't spend the rest of my life in a triad with his mother. I wanted to have this conversation because I believe that this boy mom situation is a thing that's happening right now, where these women are living through their children, and this is not a healthy dynamic, and this is not a healthy dynamic for the OP that is having to navigate the mind of a life with his husband and his mother. Okay, now for some of the comment. I told you I pulled this from Twitter. This person says, mothers like that must be a nightmare. I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't marry anyone knowing that was part of the deal. Absolutely. Karina says, not the a-hole. She's probably going to end up giving birth without him. Run. This person says the worst of it is that when he decides he needs to take his mother to the hospital, telling his wife he's not going to be able to take her to the hospital is so far down his list of priorities. Like, you couldn't even spare 30 seconds to call and say that there's another emergency. And people say stuff like, why didn't you vet? How do you vet for this? She said that this is not how it was. People act like folks don't change. Like when the circumstances change a little bit, that these people are incapable of change. How do you know that he's not going to be there for his child? If someone says, I'm going to be there, this is what we're going to do you like just believe that he's lying? She's taking these steps because now she knows, but before it probably wasn't very clear. This person says she absolutely buried the fact that her mother died in childbirth, and yet her husband is not doing everything possible to support her and lessen her fear. This person wondered, why does he need to call his mother when she goes into labor? He can call when the baby is born. He doesn't need his mother's approval. He isn't ready for marriage or fatherhood. Absolutely. And this woman sees that now. This person says, to be honest, it's definitely not uncommon for women to get false alarm, contractions, Braxton Hicks. So even if she didn't lie and she truly thought she was going into labor, he would have acted the same and would not have been there for his wife. Underlying her point, mother-in-law is awful. This person says, listen, I hate everything about tests and lying and going through your partner's phone for cheating evidence, etc., because there's major breaches of trust. But they can be the absolute last-ditch necessity to prove to yourself that you can't count on your partner or significant and partner, so that you should break up, maybe. Absolutely. She now knows that she can't count on her husband. And like she says, she's putting her ducks in a row and lining things up because she can't count on him. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So I've told y'all, I do not like these big age gap relationships with a very older person and a younger person, especially when that younger person comes from like a traumatic childhood or whatever. The power dynamics are just unequal. This is not a supportive relationship. And this post from the 2X chromosome subreddit is another example. This woman says, I may be pregnant again, and I'm not taking it well with my husband. She says, hi, everyone. I'm a 24-year-old woman married to a 38-year-old man. I will be 25 this June. We have a 5-year-old child together. I got pregnant when I was 18 and he was 32. The pregnancy happened way too fast. I met him at work. We flirted with each other, went on some dates. By the third date, we started having sex. Within just a month of dating, I was pregnant. Apparently, I was his first girlfriend and first time ever having sex. He said that he'd been on a very limited amount of dates and struggled with women, resulting in him never having a girlfriend before. At 18, this was a big shock to me because I was sure someone his age had at least some experience. I tried to be patient given his situation and awkwardness with women, but ultimately some of the things going on to me were just inexcusable. I was beginning to find myself very stressed out in this relationship. Again, I was just turning 19 and very confused. I lived at home with my mom, was a full-time college student, and had no financial plan for a baby. Assured me that he would be there in all ways possible, even though I decided the stress was too much, we should end the relationship. It was already bad enough I was pregnant by a man I knew a month, but to make matters worse, we never got along and I wasn't having a stress-free pregnancy. We had one final conversation about the breakup and we both agreed to co-parent well, communicate about the baby. He said he wanted to come to ultrasounds and know how it was going. He said he still wanted to be with me and if I changed my mind to let him know. I said for the time being, we should focus on keeping the stress down. I thought everything was fine. He told me dating was completely off the table for him and that he has been single for 32 years. He wasn't going to start now. Obviously, when you break up with someone, they have every right to move on as quickly as they want. I do believe our circumstance was entirely different given the fact that I was a pregnant teenager. Within 2 weeks, sure enough, he had another girlfriend. I guess it would have been perfectly fine despite what we discussed had he still held to his word about being involved. Instead, he caused nothing but issues. Legal problems, harassment from her. I was so tore up. I was in the hospital with early labor contractions at 25 weeks. My OBGYN wrote a letter stating this was detrimental for our health and he still continued pursuing legal matters, even going as far as to want me to meet this girlfriend of less than a month because she was going to be around the baby. He ends up breaking up with this woman the month our son is due. His own lawyers personally apologized to me after this case and said she was only doing her job, but she was extremely sorry and hoped everything got better for me. I only got back together with him mainly due to the fact that he was bullying me around and dominating the entire situation when it came to our child. My family had no more money for attorneys, and I had no more mental health to deal with anything else. I just had a baby and was dealing with a lot of anxiety. I was scared and did not want to be a single mother. I worked through things the best I could with him, got married to him at 20. We have been together ever since. This does not sound like a healthy relationship. She said, I never wanted any more children. I have diagnosed PTSD from everything I went through during the last pregnancy. I could very well be pregnant again. The condom broke and I've been experiencing symptoms. I know I need to take a test, but I'm deathly afraid of even finding out. So abortion was banned where I am, so I'd have to find other alternatives to proceed with that, which is very stressful. The idea of carrying another one of his kids is making me feel internally disgusting. I've been having self-deletion thoughts and crying nonstop. My body keeps rejecting him, and I wanted him so far away from me. Of course, if I was in a loving relationship, these feelings probably wouldn't be this way, but this is bringing up every single emotion I had from before, and I'm just disgusted. It doesn't help that he's made comments that women look better under 25 and women who have multiple kids usually don't look as good. I just feel so helpless and angry. Angry at myself for even getting into this situation again and even sleeping with him to begin with. I have a lot of health issues that developed after my first pregnancy, and I'm scared another one will make it worse. There was a whole lot of issues. I'm sure you probably could have typed them up as I was talking. You could have commented all of the issues. I'll just jump into some of the comments. This person says, there are so many red flags in your post that I'm speechless. Number one, a guy willing to date a barely legal teen when he is significantly older is predatory, not illegal, but still predatory. Number two, being the older person in the relationship, not being careful about pregnancy prevention almost sounded like he wanted to trap you. Number three, I assure you he's lying about his past. A person not interested in dating doesn't have a new girlfriend within weeks while he has a pregnant ex. Number 4, his comments to you are gaslighting and abusive. You are only 24. You likely have a long life ahead of you. Seriously consider getting yourself out and building yourself up. Take the test and discuss your options with your OBGYN, even if you are pregnant. Consider going on because he can't intentionally trap you further. This person says yes to all of this. I really despise him and his actions just based on what she posted. Okay, so someone wanted to know where she lived. She says, I'm sorry, I know this is scary, but taking a test is the first step. Where do you live? And she says she's in Tennessee. She says there are still options even in Tennessee. And here is a website just in case you're in one of these extra restricted places, plancpills.org, just in case you needed this information. This person says, even in Tennessee, you have some options. You could have medications delivered to you, or you could travel to have a medication or procedural abortion in another state. The first step is to take a test. Next, you'll want to figure out the date of your last period started. How many weeks pregnant you are is calculated by the date of your last period. If you are pregnant, the best place to see all your options is I Need an A. So here it is, ineedana.com. This person says, OP, pay cash for the test. Do not use any reward programs or points programs. If you use any of that or credit or debit card, you will be flagged in various ad algorithms to send you ads for baby stuff, which can include physical junk mail to your home. So I'm just giving this, doing these comments so other people will know this information. This person says, yes, knowing will help you proceed. It can feel overwhelming, but just focus on the next step, just the next step. And like others have said, please keep this information to yourself. If you take a pregnancy test and it's positive, take it and throw it away somewhere, not at home. Then decide what your next step is. I hope for your sake you're not, and that you still leave this dude. I hope you find peace and happiness. So these people are giving information, and hopefully, if you're ever in this situation, you can use some of these websites that they have given. Jump in the comments. Let me know if you have anything that, may help someone in a red state like this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So Princess Tiara Love posted this in the BurbNBougie subreddit, and I thought that this would be an interesting conversation because this isn't one that we've tapped on. She said, can we talk about the fact that people gaslight women into believing boring men are good when they're really just emotionally lazy? Right. We haven't talked about this. She says, I've heard this over and over again. Just get somebody boring. Boring relationships are healthy. Relationships with boundaries are actually healthy. But who the F would ever seriously want to be bored? How can you even be attracted to a person that you find boring? When I was younger, I was pretty, but I was boring as hell. But I worked on my personality, and now I can't. Maybe she means to say I can't keep people away from me. She says, I still put effort into my looks, but ultimately it's my personality that gets me treated the way I want to be treated. So why are people trying to gaslight women if we say we don't want a boring man? I'm telling you right now, if you're bored, run. He doesn't have to be a coke sniffing, gang banging bad boy, but personally, I don't think you should be bored. To me, that's a sign that he's got you carrying 100% of the emotional labor in the conversation and is manipulative as F. Trust me, he knows what he's doing. He's using you as his emotional dumping ground. Not having anything to talk about but your job and school is not healthy. Not contributing to conversations unless it's him mansplaining is not healthy. Not having opinions is not healthy. Expecting sex just because you're nice is not healthy. Can you imagine sex with the person you find boring? It sounds disgusting. It's creepy and gross. What's your take on this? I don't want to be in chaos, but I sure as F don't want to be bored. I'm not talking about being calm. I'm talking about being straightforward. I thought this was an interesting one to talk about. I don't want to be bored either. And I think that having hobbies, reading books, having things that you want to talk about that is not just, like she says, sports and school and work. Yes, absolutely. You need an outlet. And you would imagine that the person that you are in a relationship with has an outlet. But I do want you guys to chime in on your thoughts on this. Now, my BurbNBougie community is not a big community just yet. So if you want to join, find me BurbNBougie on Reddit. But let's talk about the couple of comments that I do have on this post. This person says, I believe people mistake boring with safe. Yes, boring can be very safe because, well, nothing ever happens. Bird in a cage will be forever safe, but will not feel the freedom and enrichment of flying. Feeling safe with someone has nothing to do with being bored. People want to feel excited. You can find it in whatever you love, in passionate talk, in your hobbies. A boring partner will often not be able to enrich anyone in anything. Don't let anyone tell you that you are unhappy because you want a bad boy and should get someone boring. No, dangerous is not the alternative to boring. All right. She says, let's just imagine friendship. Would you be friends with someone that you are only ever bored with? It's a safe friend after all. A friend will always be by your side. Don't you feel safe? No, you will want a friend that feels excitement, to feel excitement for if they talk about what is their passion. You want them to be happy with you and do things that are fun. And if something bad happens, you will build each other up again. Personally, I feel being bored very much in life, the fear of wasting my time, and that I would lament it on my deathbed. The boring guys sure don't want boring girlfriends, so they better step up. This person says, I'm wondering what they mean by boring because it seems like someone easygoing for them, which is not the case for me. Boring here is lacking of depth. You can be mean spirited, hard to live with, and boring. And then finally, I could never deal with a boring man. I'm not looking for some bad boy weirdo, but if he's got nothing to say and if he doesn't think about anything interesting, what am I going to do with him? It's like that line from Angel from Montgomery. How the hell does a person go to work in the morning, come home in the evening, and got nothing to say? So I do want to hear what you have to say. What do you think about this? Do you like boring? Do you need some excitement? What are you looking for in a relationship? Don't forget to like, comment, and share.